It's a devastating time to be a Palestinian. I don't think the reality of what's happened has set in for anybody who has any personal attachment to Gaza. I'm a Palestinian American. I was born and raised here in the US. I live in Chicago, the southwest suburbs, in an area known as Little Palestine. I spent a couple of years from my childhood in the Gaza Strip, where my parents were born and raised, in the same United Nations refugee camp. 80% of Gaza is made up of refugees. My family is a refugee family, meaning that my grandparents in 1948 were displaced from their homes. They lost everything that they had. They fled fearing for their lives. And that's what it feels like is happening now. Most of their family remains in that camp. When I go to Palestine, that's where I go. My home base is Maghazi camp. The idea that now a majority refugee population is now being forced to flee again is just a terrible thing to face. My phone is constantly going off. Names of the families are well known to everybody. Odds are if someone shares your friend's last name, that's their relative. It's devastating. Today I had to call a friend to comfort him after 45 people from his extended family were murdered in their home. Imagine losing an entire branch of your extended family, 3 generations of them at once. It's impossible to even wrap your mind around. And that's what we're dealing with right now. The Israelis decided at the beginning of this onslaught that they would cut off all electricity, fuel, water, and food access for Palestinians in Gaza. So it's impossible to reach people when you want to reach them. Palestinians are not built different from anyone else, and our blood runs red, and we grieve and we mourn, and it's too much for us to bear as well, but we don't have a choice. My family's been waiting patiently in these decrepit refugee camps for 75 years, and it looks like now they're going to be displaced again. My grandparents, they all died and were buried in a refugee camp, and they never gave up on their dream of returning to their lands. That was the bread that I was raised on growing up. It's an expression in Arabic. This was the bread I was fed to nourish my body, was the hope and dream of return.